I'm gonna say this at the beginning of the video for all the deaf people and people who hear what they want to hear. This is a video response to Sergeant Willie Pete, who brought my name up in a video on this topic. Once again, this is a video response. The first thing I'll talk about is that you said that you wrote off or dismissed or dumped a white girl because she said that most black people voted for Obama because he was black. Hate to break this to you, but that's about the truth. I can't tell you how many black people unabashedly proclaimed that they were voting for Obama just because he was black. Steve Harvey even made a joke about it. He said he was riding on a plane sitting next to some white dude and they started talking about Obama, and I think the white dude maybe asked him why he was voting for Obama or something like that. But anyway, Steve Harvey ended up telling the white dude that he was voting for Obama just because he was black, and the white dude turned his head forward and didn't look at him for the rest of the flight. But anyway, you know this, Pete. You know a lot of black people say that. I'm not saying all or even most, but a lot of black people said that, and they weren't even ashamed of saying it. But anyway, moving along, Pete wants to talk about why black women's relationships with white men, for example, last the longest, while the opposite not so much. I'll do one more disclaimer. If this is a subject that angers you, turn off the video. I was talking to him about this behind the scenes. He brought it public, so I'm just responding. Now, A1A. I did not say that black women have more in common with white men than white women have in common with white men. We were comparing black woman white man relationships to black man white woman relationships, not white on white. I said that when black women get together with white men, they tend to have more in common with each other than black men and white women. Not all, I mean on average. And you confirmed this when you said that white men tend to get black women who act white. You said that. You guys, and by you guys I mean you, Sergeant Willie Pete, and your crew, you guys say you go out looking for women who don't have attitudes, aren't fat, don't have kids. Okay, all that's good, but that doesn't make the woman compatible with you. Now, of course, there are black men who get with other races of women because they do things that black women don't do, and I don't mean dick sucking. These black men might hang around crowds that make most black women uncomfortable, or it might be that they're into certain activities like skateboarding or skydiving or skiing or riding a Harley Davidson. Now, I'll skateboard, but I'm not going to skydive, ski, or ride on the back of a motorcycle. Not because it's white, it's because it's dangerous. Oh, well, they've got all sorts of controls and safety features and padding and helmets. Nope, don't care. Sounds like famous last words to me. You go ahead. No, I'll take the picture. I'll take the picture. See, if we both ski together, then who's going to take the picture? And I really don't want to run into a tree. Then they try to come back with something like, well, only 0.00001% of skiers run into trees. Well, hey, somebody's got to win the lottery, and I don't want it to be me. I will see you at the bottom of the slope. I will take the picture. Anyway, the point is, yes, there are black men who go out there and seek women who are like themselves. These probably tend to be more of your on-point black men. But there are also a lot of them out there who don't make that their priority. Again, just because a woman doesn't cuss you out and lets you lead and fix you sandwiches and sucks your whatever, doesn't make her compatible with you. You yourself, Pete, may not end up with a woman who's compatible with you because you're looking for a woman you can show off with. In one of your videos, you said that you let a white girl go because she had the personality you liked, she had a pretty face, and she was even really into you, but she didn't have the body type that you liked, and not as in she was fat, she probably just didn't have enough curves for you. With that attitude, you're headed for divorce before you even get married. And while I'm thinking about it, I said in one of my very first videos when I came back to YouTube, I think it was the White Women Interracial Gold Diggers video, or the follow-up video to that, I said I think the fail rate is higher for black men-white women relationships because of financial reasons. But you said, oh no, it's because nobody wants to see a black man with a white woman. It's because black men with white women are the most hated interracial groups on the planet. Alright, fine, I'll give you that, but then you tell me how specifically that is breaking up your relationship. Ask your followers. Ask them what was the reason that they broke up with their last non-black girlfriend. Was it because their white boss fired them once they found out they were dating a white girl? Was it because everybody was spitting on them when they were walking down the street? What external force is breaking up your relationships? And if that external force is racism or something else like that, then why do you break up with one non-black woman and go get another one? So I'd be interested to hear why all of a sudden you're latching on to the financial thing. I had been done said that. So were you disagreeing just because I said it, or have you changed your mind on something? One other thing I want to address before I present my side is that you keep talking about white men like all of them are balling out of control. Just because on average white people have more than black people doesn't mean that white people are balling. The average white man is not running corporations or setting a standard of beauty or even keeping you from getting a job. This idea that you seem to have that all white men are balling out of control is just as ridiculous as saying that every black person that made it must have struggled out of the ghetto. Next point, you said that black women's relationships with white men last longer because black women are so desperate to hold on to that white man. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument that that was true. So, that's just a sorry attempt at trying to trivialize or disqualify the fact that these relationships last. You know what that reminds me of? You know how a lot of black males get athletic scholarships for football, basketball, whatever? And then a white person will come and try and discredit that by saying, well, you got a scholarship for athletics, not for academics. And I'm like, motherfucker, does it really matter? Bottom line, this person is getting their school paid for, so they're not going to come out of school with thousands of dollars of student loan debt. I mean, does it really make you feel better to know it was an athletic scholarship and not an academic scholarship? So, if it makes you feel better to think that the reason that black women white male relationships last longer is because the black woman is so desperate she's got to hold on to this man because nobody else is going to want her, because God knows you don't, well then fine. If you're that desperate to turn a positive into a negative, I'm not even going to argue with you. Next point. Now, let me show you how what you're trying to paint as a negative is actually helping the relationship to stay together. And I've never said this before, so throw all your pre-made up scripts out the window. Alright, when Western society began, women were almost totally dependent on men. Basically, women's whole lives revolved around acquiring skills to run a household. So she could attract a man, he would marry her, and then support her. Of course, while she raised his children and, kept his house going. Usually, when somebody is dependent on somebody else, they're a lot less mouthy, a lot less opinionated, a lot less worried about being quote-unquote equal. There's no question about who should get up when the baby starts crying at night. There's no question about who's going to change his diaper. There's no question about who's going to fix the meals and wash the dishes. There's no question of who needed to keep the house clean. The woman was going to play her role to keep the man happy because, for one, I think smacking was a little bit more acceptable back then. And for two, that man was her only means of support. She needed that man. Nowadays, you can have the man's money without the man. That's alimony. Also, you can have the man's kids and money without the man. Child support. When women don't need men, that's where the power struggle comes in. So, if black women don't have as many options as other women or whatever you're saying, which, by the way, I would say is the truth, and they get a white man and they're desperate to hold on to him, like you said, then yes, that would help explain the difference in the divorce rates. It's the same reason that international marriages last longer, because the woman is so dependent on the man. She's in a foreign country, she left her friends and family back in her home country, so of course she's going to act different than a woman who has a lot more options or has a lot more support from, friends and family. And you said something about white husbands validating their black wives' beauty. Well, take race out of it. Husbands are supposed to validate their wives' beauty. How can a man validate a woman's beauty any more than to put a ring on her finger? To a certain extent, at that point, it doesn't even matter what other males think of your looks because you got your man. You can only marry one, so I don't need the adoration of every man on earth. It'd be nice, but I don't need it. And I'm actually making a video about that with Kathy Griffin. Well, not with her. I'm making a video using her. But anyway, the longest lasting relationships are the relationships where the woman needs the man in some way. Whether it's for all the reasons you said that black women need to hold on to their white men, or if it's because that woman needs financial support from that man. So when women got quote-unquote liberated from men, that took away part of what women need men for, and that's financial support. Now, they still need men for emotional support because women need love. Nature put a hunger for men inside of women, or at least it did the straight ones. So women are always going to come to men for love because nature made it that way. But love comes and goes, it waxes, it wanes. Sometimes you're deeply and madly in love and can't keep your hands off each other, while other times it's like, and that's inevitable. Relationships go through ups and downs. If the woman's not in love with the man at that time, and she doesn't need him, because in this day and age, most women are not totally financially dependent on their husbands. So at that point, what's holding the relationship together? You said that 80% of divorces are initiated by women. I have not checked that, but let's just go with that since you brought it up. I ain't got time to check it. If 80% of divorces are initiated by women, why is that? Is it because men are assholes? Who knows? Who cares? But the point is, if they needed the men, especially financially, they wouldn't be doing that. So if black women are desperate to hold on to their white men because they don't have that many other options, so they act a lot more chill and they play their role and they really try to please their man, that's not too much different from the way it used to be. It's the same thing with international marriages. And before you jump up and say bullshit, isn't one of black men's main complaints is that they say that black women are saying that they don't need them? Therefore they won't submit or try to do anything to please the black man. That's your complaint. It hurts the relationship when the woman does not need the man for anything. So if you want to attribute the longevity of black women, white men relationships to the desperation of the black woman, then fine. If you want to play the academic scholarship versus athletic scholarship game, go ahead. But a scholarship is a scholarship, and if the relationships last, they last. Alright, next thing you have to look at. Alright, when a black man gets with a white woman and a black woman gets with a white man, it's automatically assumed by everybody that the black partner wanted the white partner more than the white partner wanted the black partner. It's that way because black people are at the bottom of the racial hierarchy. And notice I said black people, not black men. Anyway, it's going to be assumed that the black person was the thirsty one, then they both cancel each other out. So then what you have to do is ask yourself, why does the white partner want the black partner? Why would somebody at the top of the hierarchy want to mess with somebody at the bottom? Well, let's take a quick look at male-female dynamic again. Like I said in one of my other videos, there's no reason for a man to swear off all other coochie and make himself financially accountable to a woman unless he really likes her. Most men are able to get sex without marrying a woman, even if he has to resort to a prostitute. Also, he can prepare his own meals, clean his own house and wash his own laundry, or he can hire a maid. So really, what does a man need a wife for? Nothing. Especially with the unfair divorce laws these days. On the other hand, why does a woman want to get married to a man? Well, it could be that she really loves the guy and wants to be with him forever, or any other reason under the sun. Now let's get back to what we were talking about. Assuming that the black woman doesn't have more money than the white man, why would a white man pass up white women, Asian women, Latina women to a black woman who's going to give him kids that look the least like him, so he's giving up his white bloodline? Why would he do that unless he really cared about that woman? It's not like being with a black woman adds prestige or something. And please don't come back with something like, oh, he just wants to fuck her, because you don't have to marry somebody if you want to sleep with them. That's a lot of trouble to go through just to get some black poontang. So I mean, really, what other reason could there be? Now, why would a white woman want a black man? Of course, it could be love, but again, there's a lot of other reasons out there. Alright, let's talk about male-female dynamic one more time. It's a lot easier for a man to convince a woman to marry him than it is for a woman to convince a man to marry her. Pete, you're always telling black women it's not your choice whether you want to get with a white man, it's his choice. You're absolutely right. The choice is in the hands of a person who is least likely to make a desperate, hasty choice. A black woman can want a white man all day, but until he says yes, she's going to be one wanting sister. But when it comes to black men and white women, since he's the man, it's easier for him to convince a white woman to marry him. So, in the interracial dating game, before the wedding ring, it's easier for the black man and harder for the black woman. After the wedding ring, it's easier for the black woman, harder for the black man. Why? Because you as a black man don't know why that woman married you until some time passes. And it's harder for the black woman because there aren't as many white males who want black women as white females who want black men. She has a lot greater risk of being pumped and dumped. After the ring, all that goes away. The man she married has more risk than she does. And before the marriage, a black man can get a white woman like this. But keeping her happy and keeping her needing you is hard. Alright, that's about all I got to say. If anybody's angered by this video, I told you not to watch it. And again, this is a video response. Oh, and Pete, if you respond to this, don't use the conjecture argument. This is how you do a debate. You state your stance and tell why you think that. So just present your argument and tell why you feel that way and get on with it. If you're going to use the conjecture defense, then we might as well not even do this. You brought this up, so now I'm responding, so now you do your rebuttal. No whining.